Good morning and welcome to this week's episode of the Last Night's Game podcast. I'm your host, Amy Butchon Siegfried. And not only this week am I joined by my favorite co host and brother, Scott, but we have a special guest today, Obi Emegano. And Obi and I met at a charity basketball game. He was the MC of the night, captivating the audience. But what really resonated with me was we had a panel before the basketball game with students, and he talked a lot about his mindset, the map that he's created, and his time in his career and how that he had to shape his mindset. And that was a really amazing conversation, especially for the kids in the audience, to talk about things like mantras and things that they may not be doing at home every day. So let me give you the official bio before we dive into it. But Obi Megano is a professional basketball player, Olympian, and founder of One by One HQ. He created the map, the mindset and performance process, a system of leadership tools designed to help athletes, teams, and professionals perform under pressure. Drawing from his global basketball career and lived experience, Obi turns lessons from the court into practical systems for confidence, focus, and resilience that apply far beyond sports. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're excited to be here. And like I said in the beginning, like I really enjoyed that panel with its students because I think there was such a crossover into people think about a professional athlete, they think about an Olympian and this that there's someone so above and so different than them when ultimately that conversation that we had was there are things that you still do every single day that they should also be doing.
I had this conversation with one of my old teammates the other day, and he posted on Instagram, and he was just like, people think that being a professional athlete is they think it's like glitz and glamour, and especially being overseas. Go over there, I've when I say I've lived in places like Madrid or Paris or Milan, people are like, "Oh my gosh, that's a dream." And I'm like, "Yeah, I was there working. I didn't see any of it." And that they don't really understand that though, but it's a grind mentally, physically. Obviously, we know about the physical demands that being an athlete looks like, but the side that a lot of people don't really talk about is what the mindset side of it looks like. And it's because how do you quantify? How do you measure it? And so a lot of people don't realize that they're struggling with their mindset until something happens. And for me, five surgeries, two torn ACLs, a bilateral fasciotomy, two torn labrums in my shoulder, one surgically repaired. Just been through a lot of that, the mental side of it and bouncing back and just trying to build up that resilience and just it's been a journey. It's been a beautiful journey, but it has its ups and downs. And so I'm here just to kind of shed some light on what it's like being a professional athlete, what the demands are like physically and mentally.
Do you see a crossover in your training that you've done? Do you see a crossover in similarities between a professional, work person in the workplace and an athlete mindset?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that because now, okay, like I said, had five injuries. Most recently, for guys that don't know, most recently torn ACL. I was in Madrid, Spain, 3 years ago playing. One of the best seasons of my career. Ended last game of the season. Ended up tearing my ACL. Last game of the season, first play of the game. It was tough, and that was the year I was in one of the best leagues in the world, one of the leading scorers in that league, one of my most memorable seasons, and then to end like that on such a crash, on such a downturn was difficult, but that's kind of the beauty in it. It's given me the opportunity to come home and pursue my love outside of sports. And I think that's one of the biggest things is athletes are so focused on their sport that they don't get outside of it and understand anything else outside. And so when you only rely on your sport, it's difficult because your ups and downs are kind of flowing, your ebbs and flows are kind of flowing with the sport. And so it's important to find something outside of sport. And so that kind of brings us to this business world for me. This, I spoke about this. I've got my undergrad, I got my bachelor's in psychology from Oral Roberts, started my master's there as well while I was playing. My goal was I wanted to be a mindset and leadership coach. I wanted to travel with NBA teams and help their teams via workshops and things like that on the mindset side of it. And one thing that I've realized moving into this business world is those same traits that I learned battling injury, dealing with self-doubt, dealing with focus and confidence and all those things, they now translate into life and into business as well. And so I know you know this, but a lot of people talk about hiring ex-athletes. Why? It's because to get to that level, to get to any level, and it's not about being an athlete. You could be a painter, you could be a magician, you could whatever you are. If you're striving, if you're at the top of your level, it takes a certain bundle of traits to get there, and those traits aren't specific to the field you're in. They're the traits for excellence. They're the traits for success, right? The resilience, the hard work, the discipline, the focus, all of those traits have nothing to do with basketball, but everything to do with basketball. And so we use those traits, and that's been my biggest thing is finding those traits and honing in on those traits. And then that's what the map is. The map is just a collection of systems. The mindset and performance process is a collection of systems that I have found throughout my professional career that have helped me find success in my professional career. And then I started realizing, oh, these are traits. These are skills. These are teachable. They apply anywhere. And so I started distilling those traits. What helped me be successful in basketball? What are those traits? What do they look like? And when I was able to kind of distill those traits, and then I realized, oh, okay, now they kind of match up to business as well. So let's take these and translate them to business. And so now in my business journey, it's just using those same traits. What does that look like? Just the hard work, the persistence, the dedication, the narrow focusedness. That's even a word, but just the tunnel vision and being able to hone in on target and execute.
It's
Amazing.
incredible.
And you mentioned, all the injuries and the surgeries you've had. How did you keep your confidence and like a positive mindset intact throughout the setbacks and the recovery and the therapy that you had to go through?
It's a very tangled web, and that's not the answer that people want. They want the easy route,
Hmm.
but the real route is consistency and persistence, right? And
Hmm.
so I get this question all the time. I got it when I was on the panel with Amy. Well, through the surgeries, how do you keep your confidence during the time? And it's like, well, find something else to be good at, right? And so that it sounds simple, but for me, it tore my labrum. Right hand, I'm a right-handed shooter. Tore my labrum
See.
in my right shoulder. Well, you could either just say, "Hey, I've got a torn labrum. I'll see you guys in 6 months." Or you can say, "Okay, well, I'm gonna work on my legs. I'm gonna do my squats. I'm gonna do my leg press. I'm gonna go in there, do my rehab every day. I'm gonna do my left hand. I'm gonna sit there and watch film. I'm gonna talk to the coach and learn the plays." And there are all these things that you can be doing, and they're less important. What's more important is that you do something that is going to help
Hmm.
you get there, right? And I think a lot of times we get into this analysis paralysis situation where we're like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And then we do nothing because there's so many options, right? And so that's just, and we talk about tying that to business. You have unlimited options. There are unlimited options. It's your job to be strategic and to pick where you need to go and decide, okay, this is what aligns with my goals. These are the steps that I need to take, and then all that's left is to execute. Right. So, but a lot of times we know what we need to be doing, but we're just choosing not to do it. And that has nothing to do with anybody but yourself, right? And so when we're talking about confidence, when we're talking about all those things, are you doing what you need to do? Number one, that's just the first thing. The things that you know that you should be doing, are you doing them? And that's a lot of people, the answer is no. And if the answer is
Hmm.
yes, then you probably already have other options and things that you want to try, you're making these changes, but a lot of people are stuck in the first phase, which is deciding and choosing and then going. That's the first stage.
It's a really interesting point, right? We all know we need to eat better, move, whatever that might be, stay late, work hard, whatever that might be. And it's like are we doing it? Are we picking the easier route? Because it's hard. It's hard to do. There's a reason they say do hard things.
Yeah, and the problem is we'll sit here and we'll debate and we'll make all these games and all these excuses with ourselves as to why and why not and what. And it's just like, one of the things that I learned once again being a professional athlete is like you show up. I don't care about why or what the excuses were. You either did it or you didn't. And it's hard for people. That's hard for people to understand. And for myself, going overseas and living in a place where they don't care about you, period. You don't have your friends. You don't have your family. The coaches could care less about you. Your teammates don't probably even like you. You're there by yourself with another American who has a family who you'll never see, you know, and they don't care about the excuses that you have. You know, you show up to practice late. I didn't have the maps. I've never been here before, coach. There was this, there, I don't, that's not my issue. You know what I mean? And a lot of people
Mhm.
have a hard time with accepting the responsibility of, and you know, that's why the brand is called One by One. It's like it doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. It's you and you alone. And the excuses that you make are just for you, and they're only going to hurt you, right? And so just being able to kind of to understand that this is my life and this goes where I take it, it's empowering. And I think that I wish more people would take that route as to just owning the mistakes that they made. Just own it, and then you know, what do they say? Acknowledgement is the first step. Just being able to own that you've done over half the battle.
Do you have like when you work with people, do you have sort of a mindset shift that you really encourage them to start with to kind of set them up for
And
success?
sorry, I kind of got off. You kind of got off. Your one of your questions were something that I do for confidence. Um, I do have a few things that are, I would consider them. I'm not gonna say non-negotiable, but there have things that I rely on heavily. And the first one is self-talk. I should have worn my shirt. There, we've got it. Our first One by One shirt says it's self-love club. The back of it says more self-love. It took me a long time to get there. And I've been through a lot of things where at times where I didn't have the confidence, where I didn't feel like I was worthy, where I didn't, all those things. And I realized all of those things went away because I made them go away, because I spoke those things into existence. I was the one that was saying, hey, you got to take care of you. You know, you've got to be the one. And so when we talk about confidence, I might share a picture. So when I'm overseas, everywhere I go, I have a wall that I can see. It's usually in my living room, and I just have sticky notes all over the wall. Sticky notes all over the wall. And it'll say, like, you know, you don't let them steal your happiness. It'll have my goals on there. It'll have, you know, it is just all things that I say to myself. You know, and I brought this example up the other day, basketball specific. You know, the role that I play normally is a scorer, right? I'm a two guard. I'm normally there to score, to shoot the ball, and I say that all the time. Don't pass it to me because I won't pass it back. All right. So that's been that's always been my role, and that's hard. And a lot of people want to be scorers. They want to be a scorer. They want to score, but mentally, that is one of the hardest places to be at, because there's going to be games where everybody wants to shoot the ball. You get 15 shots, 10, 15 shots. That's great. But what happens when you go 2 for 15? That's very tough. You know, when you go 2 for 15, and if you're a shooter, you're going to have many of those games, many of them. And a lot of people they can't accept that pressure of, like, you got to deal with the fans, you got to deal with the coaches, you got to deal with yourself, you got to deal with your family, you got to deal with your players, your teammates, all talking about you, and you have to fight all uphill. You have to fight all of that uphill. How are you going to do it? You're not going to do it by yourself. I mean, you're going to have to figure out, like, systems to constantly be feeding you the information that you need to reach your goals. And so I use this as an example. Turn my phone off, do not disturb. So this picture here, that is notification. So that is I've had that on, I'm 10 years, I graduated in 16. I've had that on my phone as my background since I was in college. And when I was in college, I would struggle, some days I'd be struggling scoring the ball. And I'm a passive, naturally, just like you got it, passive guy, naturally. But they needed me to score. They wanted me to score. Your job is to score 20 points. And for me, it was like, oh man, how am I gonna do this? I had to get into this mindset, some will say it's an alter ego. Some will say it's a personality, whatever. But this is, for one, my favorite animal. And for two, it was how I wanted to see myself. Majestic creature, as, like I said, it's majestic creature, but just somebody who's gentle, but, like, because I like to be polite. I want to be polite. I want to be a kind person. I want to be, but on the court, you've got to be a different animal. And I was struggling kind of separating the two. How do you have the confidence to go do that on the court and then be this passive person off the court? And then be this, like, just, and so that was one thing for me. It was a symbol. It was a symbol. I use mantras. I use symbols. I use self-talk. These are all methods that I use to help my confidence, and it has nothing to do with anybody else. And so if you're struggling with confidence, if you're listening to this, what do you tell yourself? What are the conversations that you're having with yourself? Athletes or basketball players are the worst ones. They'll miss a shot. Man, dang it, I suck. Ah, man. And they'll start cussing and talking bad about themselves and saying this and saying that. It's not helping you. Not only is it not helping you, it's hurting you. You're putting points on the wrong side. So you have to be proactive. You cannot let those emotions take over. You have to combat those emotions and understand these are just emotions. These are not facts. They're just emotions. I'm just feeling this way right now. And so a lot of people get stuck. And I tell them, just walk alongside your emotion. You can feel the emotion. You can be mad. You can be upset. You can be sad. Walk alongside because you have duties to do. You've got responsibilities that you have to take care of. And if you cannot take care of those responsibilities because you're dealing with this emotion, well, then every time you have an emotion, you're staling, you're stopping, you're stalling on your responsibilities. And so that time right there is what helping or hurting your confidence.
That's so well said.
Kind of along those lines, when you go 2 for 15 or, you have a bad shooting day. I know you referenced a few weeks ago, like you said something about how much your presence affected others. And, if you have a bad shooting day, a bad game coming off the court, how did you harness that? And when did you realize that how much your presence affected other people, whether it be the staff, fans, little kids that are there to watch your team play?
It affected me when I became a professional, my rookie year. So long story short, I'll give you guys just a little bit of background. My senior year in college, I talk about being a scorer. Senior year in college, one of the leading scorers in the country, averaged 24 points in my senior year in Division I. Was that, I played at Oral Roberts, a mid-major D1. And so walking around, I was the big man on campus, right? Walking, and I was in college. So I had this 20-year-old mentality of I'm the only one that matters here. So I go to, second division. I ended up having all these NBA workouts, didn't drafted, ended up going overseas, was upset. Just like every young rookie going overseas, I belong in the NBA. You guys did me wrong, this and that. That was my, that's the typical mentality. I go overseas and they're like, and I'm thinking, I go to Division II, A2, Italy, and I'm thinking, I look around, I'm like, these guys suck, period. That's what I thought. These guys suck. And I'm like, all right, well, this is going to be easy. And my agent's like, the time, go there, do what you do. You'll be fine. We'll get you out of there. I'm going to A2, the second division. I'm like, why am I in the second division? You know what I mean? Like, I've got this whole attitude about myself. Why am I in the second division? I go there. Long story short, I got cut after 3 months. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Very humbling experience. And I say, whoa, to be generous. I was distraught. I was just really in a bad mood. I was in a place where it was so humbling because I was so embarrassed. Went there, I was just so embarrassed. I'm like, and at the time, I'm like, I can't go home. This is 3 months in the season. I can't return back home because all these people are looking at me like, you're supposed to be this, be that, be this. I show up home and I'm like, oh, I got cut, guys. So for me, that was my first taste of like, these people don't care about you. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? Struggled really hard. And, it was everybody's fault. Coach, GM, players, everybody's fault. I got cut. I left. I was mad. A couple years later, as I start to, get into my professional career, I start to realize and understand that no one person is bigger than the system. No one person is bigger than the team. And it really changed my perspective on how my behaviors, my duties, my job, what I'm supposed to be doing, how it affects other people, down to the point to where if you're in the game and the point guard passes you the ball, and because you don't feel confident enough to shoot the open three, you pump fake and you don't take the shot, you just screwed the entire team. You just screwed the entire team. And I had to understand that this is your job. Whether you feel like doing it or not, you have to do that because other people are relying on you to do yours, right? And so it kind of put me in a perspective with the team and with the coaches that I can be the best player in my job and I want to be the best player and I want to score the most points. And I want to do all those things, but you're just one piece of the puzzle. And your job might be to score 20 points, but you're just one piece of the puzzle. That guy's job is to rebound. His job is to assist. His job is to coach. His job is to be the eighth man on the bench. Everybody has a job. We all have a job. And that was one thing that was very eye-opening for me to help me understand that this is a team wherever you're working. And so it helped me be a really good team player, or what I think to be a good team player. And I ended up, being one of the captains the next year on the team in ACB, that one of the best leagues in the world. As an American, being a captain is a huge thing. And so, just to kind of a testament to some of the things that I learned in as far as team bonding and team building and all that kind of goes.
Well, it's really interesting because I think we live in this world where everyone thinks everything is perfect, and it's not. And it's great for you to acknowledge that. But what's also great is the lessons you learned from it not being perfect and exactly what you wanted probably fueled you further in your career than you would have ever thought.
Oh my gosh. It's changed me so much to a point that I have, and I say this because I think about this all the time when I meet somebody. If I meet somebody and I don't like, we have our first, opinions of people there, and if I meet somebody and I'm kind of put off, I lean into it. Why? Because my first 4 years overseas, the people that I had the biggest issues with at the beginning became my best friends at the end. And I mean, like, the managers, the coaches, my teammates, all those people that I had the initial towards. When I feel that, I want to search now and figure out, what is it about that person? What are they trying to say that I'm not understanding? Because they're not here to hurt me. They're just having a communication issue. So let's figure out what the communication's about. And it's helped me not just with people, but with systems and situations. And it's helped me open my mind. Being in Europe, I've just opened my mind to, well, maybe they're not wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the way that I'm thinking is wrong. And that's okay. That's okay. And to be able to kind of work your way and think about it critically, I think those are where kind of the biggest gains are. And so that's one thing that's been really has been a huge turning point for me, is just being more okay with circumstances and being more understanding. Like, right, I still have
Mhm.
my, I've still got my takes on things, but just to be accepting of others and to hear people and to try to understand. And even if you don't agree or you don't see it, you can shake hands and say, hey, maybe next time. I don't understand it right now. We're not seeing, but a lot of times we get so upset. We get so angry when things don't go our way. We get so angry when somebody tells us no. We get so angry when we have feedback. Okay, maybe you got the feedback. Maybe you didn't like it. That's cool. Take it and walk away. And let's sit on it and
Mhm.
let's think about it. Because I have been wrong many times in my life. Times when I thought that I was 100% correct and been wrong. That's just the way it goes. That's the way we go as humans. And so we have to be okay with that and try to understand, try to be open and try to learn. And that's just having a growth mindset at the end of the day.
That's fantastic. Tell people where they can find you. I know that you have a podcast of your own as well, where you share all this wisdom, but you also talk with leaders and other athletes. So tell people where they can
Yeah.
find you when you're not on the Last Night's Skate podcast.
You can find me on Instagram at Obi Emegano. We've got the One by One HQ as well on any platform where you get your podcast. We're there as well, the One by One podcast, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you go. So you can visit us also at onebyoneHQ.com. That's WONBYONEHQ.com.
It's fantastic. I have some of your merch and I enjoy it because it just reminds me that it's on me today. And I think that's like, it's that little bit of that reminder sometimes of when you look in the mirror and you're like, all right, it's on me today. I need to let all the other stuff go. It's on me. Let me change my mindset. In which I appreciate what you're teaching as a leader, but also as a parent, and how we infiltrate that down to our kids. So thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.